All right, welcome back to the Close Your House. I'm Jessica, and today I'm here with Ebony. Her story's powerful. Growing up in Detroit, losing people she loved, and learning the hard way who really shows up for you. So, we're talking family, friendship, and choosing peace over chaos. Ebony, I'm so glad you're here, and thanks so much for sharing with us.
My goodness, of course. I'm very grateful to be here.
So, for people who don't know your story, how would you describe what family meant to you growing up?
For me, family was everything. And I think you're seen and not heard. You respect your elders over everything, and no matter what happens, what goes on in this house stays in this house. So that is what I grew up with love, of course. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Yep.
Tell me about like the trauma and stuff that you experienced at an early age.
Yeah, so my father struggled with drug addiction. He was in and out of rehab. That is actually what sparked my mom's nervous breakdown when I was 7. And he ended up moving to North Carolina when I was 9 and passed away when I was 13. So it was a lot of that. Plus, my mom also has bipolar disorder and manic depression. And trying to live in that. And I have an older brother, he's 7 years older. So he left when, and I was basically like with my mom. She put him out when he was 18. And so I was kind of like 11 years old trying to process a lot of this. So my dad left when I was 9, passed when I was 13. My brother was put out. My mom had a nervous breakdown trying to figure out everything that was going on. We got in a major car accident when I was 13. My dad died in May. My favorite aunt died that December. It's just a lot of death. When my mom's sister passed away, because I spent my first year of high school back and forth in the hospital, back and forth in the long-term care facility. And it was a lot. It was a lot. Um, so as a result of that, that almost created this kind of perfect storm, so to speak, of chaos and disarray and neglect and abuse and a lot of those things that I didn't have words for until fortunately the one thing I can say thank you to my mom for was me in therapy when I was little. So thankfully, I had that going through all of it.
So, how old were you when the therapy started?
This was right after her nervous breakdown, so between 7 and 8. And she would go to therapy, and then sometimes I would go, like our offices were right next to each other, either that or I would go to the Barnes and Noble, which I realize now I probably shouldn't have had a child that age going in a store by themselves, but it was the 90s.
But that really speaks into what is viewed as neglect now, and kind of like we were raised kind of feral. We just kind of
Well,
did whatever
yeah,
the parents told us to do.
yeah, literally.
Did anything stand out for you as far as like when you're talking about the trauma in that perfect storm?
There were a couple of things. One was the emotional abuse more than anything because my mom and I were very, very close. And it wasn't until I started to say, you know what, this isn't normal at all. Uh, I don't think I should be getting hit or called out of my name or said, a lot of these really hurtful things. And when I started speaking up, and this was around 15, 16, which conveniently was around the same time I started having symptoms of my autoimmune disease, all of a sudden it was a problem and it was an issue. And from that time, because I actually moved out when I was 18 as well, it those years really make me sit back and reflect and be like, you know what, that wasn't okay. When my mom would talk to my family members, it was it was very much so the kids were kind of pinned against each other. And for a long time, I was that goody two shoes person. I started speaking up for myself. The aunts would say, "Oh, well, she ain't that goody two shoes no more, huh?" And if we got into an altercation or an argument or really just a disagreement, she would go and talk to them about it. So I never had anyone to stand up for me, no one to ever stand in the gap to say, you know what? Actually, you're wrong. It took her therapist to tell her when I was 11, when she literally dang near choked me to death, for her to be like, I'm a mandated reporter, right? You you know you should be in jail, right? Like, I remember she came back to me, and this was all after I was going on a bike ride with other kids in the neighborhood. I told her where I was going. I said who I was going with. She knew this person. He was our neighbor. And I remember we had just finished, and I was literally the only kid riding on the sidewalk too, because I was like, I'm gonna get in trouble if I'm in the street, because I'm not supposed to ride in the street. So, I'm like on the sidewalk, helmet, just following the rules. And I remember she drove. I was like so excited to come home and tell her all the things I had seen and where we went and all the things. And I still to this day remember she stuck her finger out the window, and she was like, "Take your butt home." She didn't say butt. "You didn't tell me what you was doing and where you were going." And I literally stopped. And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Did
I
it make you question whether you did?
It did. It
Mhm.
did. And that was common. I would gaslight myself so much. Got in trouble when I went home. She's like, "You didn't tell me where you were going." I'm like, "You were sitting on the couch smoking a cigarette. And I was telling you, I'm going with so and so. This is who I'm going with. This is where we're going."
Right. And so that incident led to being strangled by your mom.
Yeah, yeah.
I know the therapist brought it to light. Like, this is wrong. You should be in jail. But what happened for you? Like, what did you believe about it?
I think that at that point, because I still remember I had on my cute blue like overalls. That's the last time I wore overalls. Never wore them after. Never wore rompers. Never wore printed shirts either. But I remember sitting there, and I was to the point where I almost blacked out. And she came in and she was like, "My therapist said that I could have really killed you and harmed you, and I shouldn't be here right now, and you shouldn't be in the house." And I like instinctively cocked my head to the side, and I said, "That's all you have to say?"
What did she do?
She walked out.
It's like this moment of almost taking accountability. It felt like it's just like my therapist brought this to me,
Yeah.
but she
Nope.
didn't apologize.
Mm-mm. She never did. And that's something that I often think about too, because my brother is awful to my mother. Like, he antagonizes her, like he's back there with her after I think he's been there a while, with his wife and my nephew, and she's on a fixed income. I still do a lot for her, even though I've really pulled back in terms of like helping her with the doctor, but she leaves out great details. So I never know what's really going on. Um, but to me, he can do no wrong in her eyes. And he can do all of these awful things to her, say all these horrific things to her. And I recently just told her, I said, you're literally killing yourself trying to get the approval of your son.
The irony there.
Literally. And I said, I have begged you since I was a child for your consideration, for your attention, for your understanding, to be accepted by you, and for you to listen to me. I work in healthcare. I begged my mother right before COVID. I told her because she said, she sprung it on me. She was like, "Oh, I might need a knee replacement." Girl, what? I said, so you gonna have social services get you a home health aide and have somebody there to help? She was like, "Why I need that for?" Because I'm not coming.
Yeah. But she thought I have you.
No, no, baby girl. We're not doing this. And she didn't understand the gravity of that type of surgery, given that she also has a lot of health issues. And didn't hear me, didn't process it. I literally said, I can take you to the doctor. We can help you with quitting smoking. I'm here. You'll have access to my car. I can go grocery shopping with you. I can make sure you're eating well and exercising and doing all the things. And I remember like I was screaming and crying and upset because I had also been reading her medical records explaining stuff to her. And she was like, I'm not doing that. What am I going to do with my dog? Girl, I'm about your dog.
Nobody does. It's like you need to get this done. This is an issue of priority too, is what I
Mm,
see here.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
one of the things that you said about your brother is like, here she is being performative. She's trying to gain whatever she can get from him that he's never giving up.
No,
And as a kid, you were put on this pedestal, which like should have given you all of that. But yet you had to fight for her attention and affection. How has that impacted you in adulthood?
yeah. um, so I was married, and that very much so showed up in that relationship dynamic completely and totally. And I did not date a lot prior to getting married either because I remember 17, 18, my mom's like, don't go out being a hoe or calling me every 10 minutes. And that was embarrassing. So of course I'm not gonna date because the one person that I did date witnessed that. And like that was another moment where she was physically abusive, pulled my hair out, and I pushed her onto the sofa and I said, look, I'm not doing this with you. You cannot continue to put your hands on me and think that I'm going to allow this, especially when I'm at that point where I am bigger and stronger than you. You will not violate me like this anymore. And I'm saying this as respectful as possible. I literally have hair in my hands from you pulling it out and punching me in my face. And I'll talk about the school later, but relationship wise, I did not open up to him about things because of what I witnessed with her and my father and her and other men. I was okay causing harm to myself and overcommitting and not speaking up for myself and not being seen because of what I had witnessed in her relationship with my father and subsequently with the one other man that she was off and on again for most of my younger years and teenage life. So I didn't really know how to truly communicate my feelings unless I was exploding, unless I was yelling, because I would allow myself to get that at point. And not that I was allowing myself even, but I didn't know anything else.
Yeah, well, you were taught that love had to be earned, and that
Yeah.
even if you gave it your best, it was performative, and if you did your best, you still couldn't earn it. It was like unattainable.
Truly. And then have like even starting to like pick up on the fact that he was probably emotionally cheating, if nothing else. And I would second guess myself. Like I would find like hair ties in the car and he's like, oh, that's my mom's. I'm like, Your mama only wear black hair ties. That's not hers.
That's the hard part about abuse in childhood. It's like if you can't trust what you see, what you hear, what someone's telling you, it makes it really hard when you get into romantic relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the first year after we got married, he was going out to bars and drinking, and then he would be drinking and driving, or once he got lost in an Uber because he was that drunk. And his mom didn't believe me. So I said, you know what? I've been trying to tell you all what was going on with him. Everybody knows that I am not a big drinker and I do not use any form of drugs. I barely take pain medicine because of the alcoholism and drug addiction in my family. People know that about me. I literally did a paint and sipped on orange juice and
I,
went home and crocheted a blanket during my bachelorette party. Okay. Like that's my type of fun,
uh-huh.
And when I was trying to tell his family, like, I think we have a problem here. Something's going on. I'm not rocking with this. Help. No one believed me. And when his mom experienced that, and then when he later crashed a car that his father rented, and I said, by the grace of God, you lucky that you didn't go to jail that night from that breathalyzer test,
Uh-huh.
because ain't no way, my boy. Like,
Right.
whew.
Right.
So it wasn't until I was just starting my coaching business and I was literally on the call with someone and he came home. I knew he was seeing other women and all this stuff, but I just couldn't prove it. And he stood behind me and I said, you know what? I'm going to end this call. I am so sorry. I will reschedule, do what I need to do. He looks at me and says, I don't love you. I haven't loved you since the year we were married, and I want a divorce.
What did you do?
I mean, I guess he thought I was gonna be like, all right, bet. No problem. I was hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Because
was
it's another time that it's like, how could you not love me? I
right.
do everything. I always do the right thing. Like,
Everything.
I show up
Everything.
to every space.
Yeah.
I've loved you. I've ignored things that are happening. I've taken your word for it. I believed in you. I hoped. Like, there was so
Yeah.
much wrapped into that. I understand how that felt like, you know, devastating.
I helped him build his business. I helped him study for his personal training certification. When he wanted to leave his full-time job, I made sure that, like, because we were supposed to switch on and off. So, like, I was paying the majority of the bills. He paid off his credit card debt, and we were supposed to switch. That never happened. I got our car in my name because I had the better credit and literally had to take a train from DC to Baltimore every day. When I would drive, he's like, well, I need to get to a client. I said, dog, pull up Google Maps. Do you not see what I'm sitting in?
Yeah. It sounded like everything in the world was centered around him. And like that kind of is reflective in the relationship with your mom. It was her world.
It was.
She's the center of her world.
Still is, technically.
Yeah, but that didn't leave a lot of room for you to feel loved by people in your life.
No. So even with that, and I think that is why I stayed single for 7.5 years. And I'm like, you know what? Anybody got time for this? I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be seen. I deserve to be heard and to take up space. And I did intense therapy. It completely and totally ruined me financially. And thank goodness I had, like, my parents, quote unquote, to be there to support me, kind of. But I didn't ask them for anything, hardly ever. And that was challenging because there were other kids in the dynamic as well. And I think they already had an issue because I had my wedding back home and my dad said, if you have it here, I'll pay for it, no problem. That caused a lot of issues.
Can you take this back just for the people who don't know your story? Like you're talking about your parents. How did you become a part of this family?
That.
Uh-huh.
So I went to a private school. I filled out the application, did the interviews, got in, did all the things by myself. And I ended up meeting their oldest daughter while playing basketball, and we became really close. And occasionally they would drop me off after basketball practice, and then I ended up working for them. And I would just stay over there a lot because they didn't live that far from where I did. So I could literally just walk over there. And to be frank, nobody was looking for me anyway. And when my mom would have her depressive episodes, she would be out at the casino for like the whole day. So like I was literally at home. That was honestly why I ended up working with them. And I had always did something to make money, even if it was just to buy myself a quarter bag of chips, which chips aren't a quarter anymore. But
Right?
that's wild to me. But I try very hard to hide the abuse and neglect from them in school. And ultimately it stopped working. And my dad's wife told me one day, she's like, I see your mood. I myself have been victim to that, and you don't deserve that. And if at any point you want to get away, the coach house in the back, you can stay there. It's available to you, but it's completely up to you.
So they're inviting you in. They're like, you can live here. You do
Yeah,
not have to deal with it. Like, we see the signs.
yeah,
And
yeah.
those signs had to be so loud because you seem like a person who can really very put together. Like, you know how to make everything seem like it's okay. Like, you maybe would be the strong friend that people didn't check on. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, because with them, I was able to be vulnerable and to really and truly show my personality and like be that nerdy, geeky person. And my dad loved that type of stuff. So he would literally give me finance problems from his business and say, here's a book, go figure it out. Calculate the EBITDA. And I was like, the who, the what, the EBA what? I don't know what that means, but I'll figure it out. Cool, no problem. So I was literally thriving, and they would see how I would arrive, or even during basketball practice, like I started to get really angry. And again, I'm a very cool, calm, and collected person. And there was one point where I literally like dented a locker door because I was that angry when I punched it.
Yeah.
And because I'm like, what? Like, nobody is seeing me, no one's hearing me. And the daughter that I played basketball with, of course, I would confide in her, and she was telling her parents about stuff. Um, and then after a while, my one best friend, I would go to his house, stay there, drive back home, because again, my mom would be in such a deep sleep because she was just so depressed, and either she was manic and shopping and at the casino or going out and doing all the things, or she wouldn't leave her room. There was no in between, and I was just kind of like there. So sometimes I was at his place, sometimes I was with my parents, other times I was like trying to do all the things, get involved in the clubs and the groups just so I didn't have to go home.
Yeah.
And so one day, it was that January after I turned 18. I was trying to put up a blind, and I would literally have upwards of 3 hours of homework, would just come home from basketball practice or some sports practice or theater or something. And my mom was like, I need you to put up the curtain. I said, what? What?
That probably sounded like such a small task for her. She's not knowing that you're carrying the world literally on your shoulders. What happened?
I was angry, naturally, because I was like, you've been in here all day doing nothing. And you, so I bend the curtain rod trying to latch it. And she just starts calling me all type of names, like, you lazy, I can't believe you can't do this. And I remember sitting on the ladder. I was like, I just need a minute. Just give me a minute. I'm frustrated right now. I'm tired. I'm sore. And I'm just trying to do what you asked. I don't need all of that. I really don't. And she goes away. And then I was like, you know what? Dad's wife said I can go and stay with them. I don't think it's a good idea for me to be here anymore. Who gonna want you? Ain't nobody, them folks don't want you. Actually, the white folks ain't gonna want you. Like, you need to do what I tell you to do and blah blah blah. And I call her, I said, here's the situation. I put as many clothes as I could in an orange trash bag. And I put them in the car, and she came in and tried to talk to my mom. My mom kept her back to her, wouldn't engage in any type of conversation. She was like, you get out. And I, I just said, okay.
That's what made you say, I can't do this anymore.
It really and truly was, because I'm like, nothing that I do is ever good enough for you. I I can't even tell you what happened with my day. I can't even focus. Like, I literally went from having like a 3.8 thing, plus blah blah blah. I was like 2 point something. I don't remember. Like,
Yeah, nobody's noticing that, like, there's a decline here.
couldn't focus. Start blacking out during tests, crying because I'm like, I couldn't remember anything. And it was so frustrating. And then I'm at this private school. I'm with all these rich, wealthy kids who seemingly don't have any problems. And I already feel othered. I already feel like I don't belong. I already feel like I have to constantly prove myself. And I'm walking this dichotomy of living on the east side of Detroit, having a mom that don't seem to care, and literally watching wealth and privilege and access every single day.
And not feeling like you belong anywhere.
Anywhere, nowhere, nowhere. So even when I had the friends in high school that I have, with the exception of my best friend, we are actually still friends to this day.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, we've known each other since I was 13 years old. When we did a summer math program to get into my high school, that was a condition of our acceptance because I was behind in math or something. I don't freaking know. And he has seen every iteration of me and everything that has gone on. And even my first boyfriend, I got teased by the kids at the school because they're like, oh, you just want him to be your daddy because your dad died and you don't know what it's like. And he stood up for me and he was like, how dare you?
Yeah. Finally, somebody to step up and step in for you.
And then my aunt died that December. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting punked. I think I'm getting punked.
Yeah, because that was just too much.
And even at my father's funeral, I stood at the back. I was the last one in to see him. When we drove down there, it was weird. It was eerie. Nobody came checking for me. No one said, Ebony, where are you? Come up here. Like, and I don't really know my father's side of the family, with the exception of a few cousins and uncles. Well, yeah, my two uncles. One I still don't really talk to. The one I kind of do, but his wife doesn't like my father's side of the family, so that's weird too. But he had his service at the veteran cemetery. So I'm watching from the back, just, well, that's cute. Mom upset, brother crying, family members. I'm like, so y'all just not gonna check on me? No, y'all have no question? Yeah, like, are you even curious as to where I
Yeah, it's like feeling literally invisible. Nobody knows what you're going through, and it feels like people aren't even concerned with where you are.
am? No.
That, as we're talking about this, what happens to you, like, as we're talking about feeling invisible?
It puts so much into context for me, especially hearing it out loud, especially as like my dad passed away 2 years ago and that like lack of a relationship on the part with like his wife and daughters, which is hard because when you hear that story of how I ended up to come to live with them, it's just like, wait, what? Um, and even thinking about those, it was a group of five of us in high school. And even when I moved out, they were like, well, why didn't you come and stay with us? And why do you, I'm like, you all were with me. Said person, you and I played basketball and lacrosse together. Two of y'all. You didn't hear I see my mama cussing me out in the parking lot? Y'all were witness to my mother calling me every 10 minutes when we would go out. What was not clear?
Yeah. So it felt like an afterthought. Like you could have came here, but it was never an invitation.
No, no, never. And it was also complicated, with the exception of one of those people, where because of my work ethic, because of who I am, and just having no choice but to push myself to keep moving forward, I could tell their parents would be like, wait a minute, so why you not doing this, that? And I was like, no, we not doing this. Mm-mm. I will struggle before I say something or ask. So, and even when my dad died, I didn't hear from none. I got a LinkedIn message from one of them actually. They're like, "Oh, I heard your dad died." This same person sent me an email telling me how bad of a friend I was because I never reached out to them and gave me an ultimatum on being their friend. I said, girlfriend, I'm fighting for my life right now.
Literally fighting.
And that was around the time where I was finally getting diagnosed with my thyroid disease. Like I couldn't, there would be times where I didn't even remember how I got to where I was.
Yeah, but that dissociation is normal because you were taking on so much.
Like joints hurting, could barely move, hair falling out in clumps, thinking I had a, a kidney stone. You know how hard it is to pass a kidney stone that you don't have?
Okay.
And again, the gaslighting is coming from there, being in this competitive research program. I was in Minnesota at the time, on top of the racism, the prejudice, people, pulling out my experiments. And I had insomnia, so I would go at night, which worked out for me. Having to go through all of that, the next summer being at Yale, experiencing a lot of the same thing. And I'm like, girl, I can't, I gotta start running track. I gotta start doing all the things I've come to love to do. I'm still not doing well. I got professors telling me, oh, well, you're a good writer. Maybe you should focus on writing. Maybe this pre-med stuff ain't for you. Or I would say, I think something is wrong. That's none of my business. Go talk to your class dean. Class dean, you should take a leave of absence and go home to what?
That's the part that nobody understood. Was like, this is it for me. You're fighting to stay there because you have nowhere to go and no one to really depend on. And I feel like even if you did, you would still have to get it on your own.
Yeah, yeah,
You just do that. That's you. That problem solving skill that you have is like also like your intuition. Like you know what's happening, but so many people are talking you out of like what's actually happening to you.
yeah. So when I think about the question that you ask, I'm like, girl, if I would have seen someone that has gone through the things that I've gone through, or even a child, like I would have snatched up their parents and they fit like, and I think that is why now I'm so into advocacy and social justice and things like health equity, and even at work I am so intentional about only focusing on one person at a time, alleviating distractions, really focusing on trauma-informed leadership. And when I work with clients from a personal training perspective, I am so conscious of when I do an intake form. I'm asking you a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
And I say, are you under the care of a therapist? Are you under the care of a physician, a dietitian? Because please don't come asking me, you can get me off my diabetes. No, I can't.
That's why that moment was so pivotal. When you stood up for yourself with the hair pulling and you were like, no, it's like you went on to not just stand up for yourself in that space, but now you advocate for people and you make sure that they're seen.
Every day. And when you add on racism, prejudice, white supremacy, and all those things on top of that, especially in the corporate space, especially being backstabbed by both white men and white women, and I don't want to hear nothing about nobody having all these whataboutisms, okay? That is my lived experience. I literally had a conversation with our new HR director, and I said, listen, you ain't got to talk to me about DEI nothing, all right?
Yeah.
I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. This is my everyday lived experience. I am telling you right now, this department has a culture issue. White supremacy is at the root of a lot of things, as is racism. You all saying we're gonna hold off on this community program initiative, they ain't stopping what I'm gonna keep doing.
Yeah.
Because I am a young Black woman in corporate America in a white male dominated space.
Once again, not feeling like you fit in, but there's a difference now because you've carved out some space. And yeah, and it's not even like passing into someone else's lane. Like you created a whole new lane for yourself. You did that.
So now I don't ignore my intuition. If something don't feel right, I'm peacing out. When my dad passed, and there was constant drama with the kids and them, like if I read you some of the text messages from his daughter, like I will block you so fast. My phone stays on do not disturb.
How did he pass away?
He has stage 4 colon cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Um, and he had the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 18. When I had literally just moved in, we found out a couple months later that he had cancer. And I said, you know what? I'm right here with you. Yes, I got to go off to school, but I will come home. I will help. I will do whatever it is I need to do.
Mhm.
And he beat it. And then I had all of the struggles and issues with my thyroid disease, and he was right there with me. Paid for me to go see endocrinologist. Like when I went to Minneapolis to go to University of Minnesota, he did not want me to go. Man, when I tell you he was upset with me.
Yeah.
Ooh, he was like, Ebony, you know. I said, look, my cell biology professor is one of the few people that actually believed in me because I was having test anxiety. And I was one of his top students in his lab when we were doing things. I was always active answering questions. It just, when I got to that test, that anxiety, baby, whew, I would literally black out, like feel blood in my mouth. I'm like, what is happening? He would literally give me my tests orally. And he would say, okay, I'm confused. I don't understand. You would have 100 on your test because I literally just asked you the same questions. Why is it different when you actually take it? I said, I don't know.
There was something happening with memory there, and we see that in trauma. It
I
was a
said,
lot.
I can't remember nothing, Professor. Okay. I'm stressed out. My mama just told me her gas bill getting cut off. I'm supposed to go to Costa Rica. Now I can't go because I got to pay her gas bill. That kept getting cut off. Okay. I don't know. I don't remember. Thanks. But I got into that program because of him. I said, he gave me a chance. He believed in me when no one else has been. I'ma go.
Yeah, I'm going. What did your dad, the one who passed from cancer, mean to you in terms of love and stability, especially compared to your birth father?
Oh my gosh. When I tell you that man was my best friend, I knew him longer than I knew my birth father. And that stirred up a whole lot of issues for people. That stirred up a whole lot of issues with my ex-husband's family because they're like, how could you do that with them and you got a mama? Shut
Yeah,
up.
you got a lot of backlash for that. As I was reading about this, I'm like, you got a backlash for who they were, why they helped, and nobody else came in trying to rescue or even assist.
No. Even the people in their neighborhood would say, "Oh, that's so nice what you're doing for Ebony." And he was like, "I'm not doing anything for her. Ebony is doing for herself. She is literally a friend to me." And especially after the divorce, I had went back home to Detroit. And I think I found out like the whole I want to get a divorce. 2 weeks later, I went there and I remember him coming out the bathroom. And my whole family knows I'm not ashamed of my bodily functions. I got to burp, I got to fall, I got to go poop. Did you poop today? Like I'm asking all those questions. And he came out of the bathroom and he was really flushed. And I said, okay, that's my cue. I walk up to him. I said, hi, Dad. And I give him a hug. And I have been seeing blood in the toilet. And I was like, all right, is someone having a menstrual cycle? So I started paying attention because I noticed it a couple months before. But I was like, all right, this girl's in the house, whatever. And so I finally go up to him. I said, I got a question. He's like, Ebony, no. I said, yes, yes, we're going there. We sure are. I said, every time you come out the toilet, you be looking stressed and depressed. Okay? You be looking awful, miserable. I said, when I go to the bathroom and I do a number two, I be feeling like I'm about to go frolic across lavender fields in the south of France.
Yeah, something's happening.
I said, let me ask you a question. When the last time you got a colonoscopy? Face went white. Didn't talk. Completely silent. And I could see him going back in his mind because he was getting cancer scans. Like he had been cancer free from the non-Hodgkin's for a long periodical time. Like I would be on the phone with him, holding my breath, waiting for the results. And he said, I haven't. I said, sir, the system is set up for you to succeed. What you mean you ain't got to call it? I said, so you going to call him Monday? He was like, yeah, I guess. Then later on, earlier that year, we had a New Year's party because he was like, we never have people over. And I walk up to him, I go, boop, boop, what's that on your face? He was like, Ebony, I don't have any privacy with you. I said, no, you don't.
Because I know that something's happening to you.
What's that? And he had gained a little bit of weight. So I'm very conscious of that too. Because my first year of college, I gained 40 pounds because of my autoimmune disease. I was like, forget a freshman 15. What is this? Okay. And he finally went and got the biopsy for what was on his face. Right before that, that was a non-Hodgkin's. It came back, but it was slow growing. So we were like, okay, cool. We'll monitor this. They removed that tumor. We thought we were in the clear. I was flying back and forth, getting stuff together for the divorce, going here, working. I was done with school at that point. So I was, doing all those things. I was in the car with him when the doctor called him and told him that he had stage 4 colon cancer. And I remember grabbing his hand because we had just left an estate sale. He said, please don't let them sell all my shit. He said, I know exactly who's going to want what. Don't let them. which is funny when he passed and all that actually happened.
And then that's what happened. He knew what was coming.
He did. He did. And I say, you know what, Dad, I'm gonna be right here with you. I said, you were there for me when I was trying to figure out what was going on with my thyroid stuff. I'm gonna be here with you regardless of the outcome. So I held up my end of the bargain through all, I think I was with him with every surgery except maybe two. Um, and I literally, I found out he had never got a foot massage. And ironically, that was one of the only things that stopped his hiccups when he had a blockage and a hernia. And every chance he get, he was like sticking his feet out. I was like, okay, now wait a minute,
He's like, please.
wait a minute, wait a minute. But like he had a bucket in one hand, the Thorazine for the hiccups in the other, miserable. Okay. And I said, all right, I don't like feet like that, but let's go.
We'll do it for you. I'm here.
So the day he passed away, that was the last act that I did for him. He wasn't really responsive before that. And I was supposed to go to California. I was literally on the way to the airport and some told me, don't do that. And his wife called, like, he's gonna die. You need to get here now. I was like, oh, hello. All right, how you doing? Um, and his his two daughters were kind of going back and forth at the head of the bed, and I just got up and I just started massaging his feet. And he woke up and we locked eyes and I said, it's okay, I'm here, regardless of the outcome. And literally right after that, like I noticed he was showing active signs of dying, but I wasn't going to say that to anybody else. And as soon as I stopped rubbing, not even 10 minutes later, he literally passed away at 10:10. Because I remember looking at the clock and I looked at the monitor and I heard the nurse at the station and they're like, we're going to give them a minute. Now, his daughters didn't know what was going on. And, he's like slowly just everything shutting down. And they're like, we need a nurse in here and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who gonna tell her?
Yeah. And it's another time that you have to consider someone else. It's like the overlying thing is like not ever getting what you need, but
No.
showing up to people as what they need.
Yeah.
And even in this space where you're like, I'm losing something too,
Yeah.
still,
Yeah. Literally ended up sitting with her to tell her what had been going on with his health because no one had. Got back to the house. I completely and totally lost it. I don't even know how much time had passed. I just remember like waking up in the bathroom, like not knowing my left from my right, my up from my down.
yeah.
And no one in that moment, that was the first time I really and truly experienced grief. Even still, like 2 years later, I still pick up my phone on Wednesdays waiting for him to say, "Hey, I'm on the way to Philly. I'm getting ready for treatment Thursday morning. I'm going to the lab. I'm on the way Thursday afternoon. I'm just getting chemo. I'm working Friday morning." Getting a my chart message, looking at his labs, calling him, saying this is what's going on. That Thursday night, he would fly back home, and I would talk to him that whole 2 hours from Boston to New Hampshire to make sure that he wouldn't fall asleep at the wheel because obviously they pump you full of Benadryl when you're getting chemo. And no, like because he appeared okay.
They let him go. That's why I was like, so you lost like so many people, your birth father, your aunt. We're talking friendships along the way,
Mhm,
your dad,
mhm,
and then this man that is
mhm.
your dad,
Yeah.
who you loved. And he protected you.
Whew.
So I'm seeing that dynamic with two men in your life. I'm seeing that with the best friend and your dad.
Uh-huh. And even so, I have three best friends who are male. One I met when I was 13, one when I was 18, one about 5 or 6 years ago. Um, and it's interesting because people are like, oh, you got best friends that are men. I'm like, you don't understand. You don't understand.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to explain it to you because I don't have to.
No.
But the three of them have really and truly been that beacon of light for me. And they are the reason why I'm not walking around being like, F men, like, y'all ain't this and y'all ain't that. I mean, my therapist helps quite a bit with that too.
That's
But
good.
like, I get to see positive examples of men because of them. And that's pretty freaking spectacular, if you ask me.
And you kind of highlighted not having certain friends show up during this process. So this wasn't even just like low contact with your mom and having to set boundaries. This is like friends disappointed you too.
Oh my gosh. Like, being that strong friend, as you mentioned, I, I, I'm struggling to even speak because when I see my experiences that I have gone through, and they've been major, like they've been a lot, and I'm like, God don't see me. I can't get a phone call, a like I had quote unquote friends when I got a divorce. My ex-husband was on what is it, Tinder? I think that's why I don't know, Jay. I don't know. I'll be looking at that.
I don't know a lot about those, but yeah, so these swiping, right? Dating apps.
They saw him. Now, mind you, in pictures that I paid for, pictures I paid for. Okay. Instead of coming directly to me to say, this is what I saw, what's going on, they circulated it amongst the friend group. And my one friend, who I am very close with, godmother of her child, she was like, why do you think this is okay? And she knew that we were separated.
Yeah.
Nobody else did. She was like, why don't you just tell Ebony that you saw this? Well, you know how women can be. And she was like, have you met her? As protective, like I was literally called the grandma of the group. Like, if you hungry, baby, I'm gonna feed you. Every Sunday in college, we would have Sunday dinner. You sick, I'm bringing you something to eat. Like, you struggling, we study to get, like, she was like, what makes you think that Ebony wouldn't be appreciative of that? You really think she'd be okay with you circulating this among, I mean, who knows? Who else you done talked about her with? And you know, because I don't have no problem with confrontation, I politely texted her and said, why didn't you just come to me and tell me? Why did I have to find this out from somebody else?
Was this when you started realizing these friendships, they're kind of
Mm,
feeling one-sided for me?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How did you handle it when you found out that that made it to the group chat but didn't come to you?
I politely, I put everybody in the group chat. I sure did. And I said, this is really hard to know that you all knew that this was going on and nobody said anything to me. I said, what made you all think that I wouldn't be able to have a conversation about it if you're looking out for me?
Yeah.
Huh? Like, like, I have literally cleaned you up when you were drunk, when you were sick.
Right.
Have been there through some stuff. Why did you feel like you couldn't show up for me? Crickets.
So nothing. Did you ever get in uh
Kind of, sort of, from that person. They were like, I didn't know how you would respond. I said, you should have tried. I talked to my dad about it. He was like, I never liked him from the beginning, but, you know, you were in love. I said, well, look. Next time, I'm gonna need you to say, I give you my full permission to say something, okay? And he laughed and said, okay, fine. I was like, mm-hmm. He sure did every other attempt at a love gesture. She's like, mm-hmm. I said, okay.
Yeah.
Trust you.
So there's all this female hurt. So, like, on one side, there's all these people saying, well, why do you have male friends? And it's like, men have not been safe, not your brother, not other men, not this ex, but you found a group of men who are very safe for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And even my one friend, she is the person who I'm the godmother of her daughter. She had a similar upbringing as well. And so she is very in tune to when I like disappear, when I don't come around, or even at her wedding, she had her maid of honor. Oh my God, that was another event. I won't bring that one up. But she was upset with me because I had said, a homegirl want to do what homegirl want to do. Great. I'm stepping back. Even when I bought a flight for the makeup artist to go to the wrong place, I still made arrangements for her to get there.
I guess one of the things that I'm noticing is a dynamic too. It's like you can give something your all, really go at it, really try. And if it goes wrong, you're still to blame.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Scapegoat.
Very much so. Very much so. Yes,
That's hard because it
yes.
happens in so many spaces. So then we start talking back to corporate world. And I mean, there's just scapegoats get scapegoated everywhere. And that's
Uh-huh.
just how it goes.
Yeah. It's not easy, but I think that is why I'm so good at documentation and being a historian and being able to say, no, you said this on this date. That's why I'm real grateful for Microsoft Teams and Copilot, because I
Yes.
be using that John every day, every day. Okay.
I love that for you. That you have that because you need the records because they'll be trying to gaslight you too. I never said that. I never.
Oh, really? Oh, really? On January 25th at 2:27, you said, oh, I don't remember that. Oh, here's a transcript. Here's here's when you said it in the video. Here you go. So that from that perspective, corporate, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Mhm.
Now, now that I have matured and gotten older and I know who I am and I found my voice, 10 times easier.
Yeah.
But everybody else, and I just friend, I said I do want to try to build community. I do want I am open to making new friends and doing all these things, but I have a puppy and they force you to be social. And fortunately, sometimes he can be just as antisocial as I am, so it kind of works. I'd be like, you don't want to be pet. Please don't touch him.
If you could talk to the younger version of yourself who felt like she had to run herself ragged for friends, what would you tell her now?
Baby girl, it ain't even worth it. Uh-uh. You are so smart. You are silly. You are funny. You have so many gifts and talents that nobody can touch. And that is your superpower. Your superpower. You don't have to run yourself ragged just to make a friend. Because there are people out there that want to love you.
And takers take, and they will take it all. So givers have to put the boundaries in place.
Mm-hmm.
So how
Mm-hmm.
did that not skew who you are though? Like at the core where you want to show up for people and give and, be everything.
Funny you asked me that question because my dad used to ask me that all the time. Yeah. And he also used to ask, like, how are you just so different. Like, I see you, I see your brother, I see where you come from, I see what you're doing now. Like, I just, and, and honestly, I think because I just have this side of me that just loves everything and everybody. And I've always been that way since I was a child. And even though people can be people, I have this inner optimism that's like, you know what? It won't always be like this. It's going to get better for me. Something is always coming for me. Things are always working out for me. It might not happen the way that I think it should or I want it to, but good things are coming to me.
You have always been hopeful.
Always.
Is that what kept you going?
Yes. Yes. Because I remember I wanted to die by suicide when I was 18. And I remember having this dirty box cutter sitting on a cinder block. And I sat there and I heard the still small voice of, it's not over yet. You can still do this. And then I had that actual processing. I was like, wait a minute. If I do it this way, that's going to be a lot of blood. Um, I don't want to have to clean that up.
And then I'm going to make a mess for myself that I got to clean up. It's going to
Correct.
be a problem.
Correct. Because
Wow.
I went through every iteration of how I could take myself out. I said, wait, I don't like vomit like that. So if they have to pump my stomach, then that's going to be, no, not going to do that. I'm like, bro, I don't like people being around my neck because my mom, when I was, nope, not doing that. Like, I literally walked through all the possible permutations. And I was like, you know what?
You didn't want to die.
Mm,
Just didn't want to live like that
No,
anymore, it sounds like.
no,
But it felt like I could die and get out of here. And then there's this voice that's like, yeah, no, we're not done with you yet.
no. I was like, y'all want to just turn me loose just a little bit? No. Go ahead, get up. Go take a nap or something. We'll see you about 15 minutes. And something better always comes after that.
Yeah. And then how would you say life is going now?
My boundaries are firm. They rigid. They don't move. They are literally like a levee that has a solid foundation. They don't concrete foundation. It ain't moving. Ain't no cracks. Ain't no nothing. I am very quick to leave a situation where I don't feel seen and heard. If I'm uncomfortable, I leave. Even I tried dating and I kept telling my best friend, I was like, I don't know, it's something about him. I don't that. And he was like, Ebony, give it a chance. Give it a chance. He was like, you know what? If give it another month. If at that point you like, nah, go for it. And I started telling him things and I knew it was bad when I didn't want to introduce him to people because I was like, I'm still trying to fill it out. Or when my orthodontist was like, oh, let me see pictures. Girl, I had no pictures of us again.
And you're just like, this is not how I envision this.
No,
It doesn't feel right. And then
no.
now, with boundaries and with more self trust,
Yeah.
you're making different decisions now.
Yeah, I was like, peace out, blocked. Speaking up for myself, if something's not right, if 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 it don't fit my moral compass, I'm not doing it. But also learning how to rest.
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, it's different because I I actually leaned into the grief when my dad passed. And from March 19th, 2023 until the end, I can't tell you what happened that year. I don't remember. It completely blanked out, blacked out. I don't remember nothing. And I was still doing all the things and trying to keep up. And I do remember telling my team, I said, hey, my dad passed away. Normally, I could pick up if you wiggle your eyebrow the wrong way. I can't do that right now.
Yeah. I need some grace because something's happened to me. And I'm going to actually take care of me this time and not have to persevere through it.
Mm-mm. Because I was driving Maryland and New Hampshire every other week, sometimes 2 weeks at a time. Like my director at the time was gracious and wonderful. She was like, you you kind of gone back in your I was like, girl, I'm gonna talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's too painful for me. Like if I open up, it's gonna be bad. So I can't right now. And when I did a photo shoot, so I was taking some branding pictures. I was like, oh, finally I can do things for my business. And I was driving home and it felt like somebody was taking an axe pick to my ear. So I was like, I don't think that's normal. What do I do? I went to sleep. I go to work the next day. I literally remember screaming into my backpack. And I was like, I think I need to go to the ER. Left a room full of nurses, not child. And I was like, wait, because, I could see the ER wait times. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go to this urgent care real quick fast. I had a double ear infection. The doctor was like, this is one of the worst cases I have ever seen. Girl, she was like, you know what you finna do? You finna go home, get you a glass of wine. You gonna take a bubble bath tonight. Tomorrow you gonna start the antibiotics. But she was like, I need you to call your therapist because I'm very clear about who my care team is and coordination of care, what have you. She's like, I need you to follow up with your primary care. We gonna get you to see an ENT. But tonight, you gonna take a nap. And she was also a Black woman.
So you knew what we were raised culturally, how it goes. It's like, if you rest, it's shameful. Like, how dare you get rest? Because you're only valuable when you're performing, doing, moving, giving. Like this. So here's this woman coming to you saying, no, tonight, everything you've ever known, you're not going to do. We will do that tomorrow.
No. Mm-mm.
Wow.
And it was at that moment when I was like, you know what, this rest thing, let's explore that. Uh-huh. Got a real good night's sleep. Yeah. I mean, my face hurt. My whole face hurt.
Uh-huh.
Everything hurt until the medicines kicked in. But it made me realize I had neglected my knees for so long that I was walking around with a double ear infection and didn't even notice.
Yeah. And I was like, that does not happen overnight. But that's how focused you were always on outside of yourself. And one of the things that I hear you saying is like, now I'm focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah. So baby, Saturdays, don't nobody call me. I'm with the puppy. We resting. We relaxing. I've started reading now.
Mhm.
I color, I draw, I go for a walk. Like I see the world around me now, which is funny because I got LASIK in 2020 and I was borderline blind, could not see nothing.
Mhm.
And even now, I'm noticing so much more around me, seeing more, feeling more, hearing more, smelling more. And I welcome absolutely all of it because it's a beautiful thing to be able to exist in the world and recognize the actual beauty around it. Like I cry over seeing dew on grass in the morning times. Like, oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah, because you never got a chance to stop and see it. So, you said existing, and I was thinking like, and living at the same
Yeah.
time, because some people just miss the whole, how that old saying, it's like, can't see the forest through the trees,
Yes.
just like that. But
Yes.
now you stop and you notice the beauty of just every day.
All of it. All of it. And sometimes it's a little overstimulating, but
Yes, it is. It's kind of new still.
Right? I feel like, dang, that tree been there that whole time? Oh, hmm, okay.
Yeah. And when people hear your story, what do you hope they take away from it? Especially those who are struggling to walk away from toxic relationships.
It is hard. Don't let nobody say, well, they did the best that they could and you should be grateful. Uh-uh.
No,
No,
that's not good enough in 2025.
it is not. You didn't ask to be brought into this world and you deserve nothing but love, tenderness, kindness, and compassion. Don't let nobody try to tell you how you should or shouldn't feel. If you felt like something was off or was wrong, it was.
Yep.
And that's it. Can't nobody tell you nothing about your experience because you lived it and you know it. And as difficult as it can be to find those people that you can trust, because I know you've probably shared your story over and over again, and there are times where people just don't get it.
Yeah.
Just know that there are people that do, and you are going to find the people that love you back just as much as you love them.
Yeah. And sometimes that love is going to look like finding it in relationships that aren't biological or aren't the ones that you thought would be the most
Uh-uh.
important. Sometimes that love, like the love that you talk about with your dad, is just so beautiful. He's not the reason you were birthed, but at the same time, it was like this whole new beginning with him.
Yeah. Like that man fought the fact that he couldn't breathe and he was in so much pain, but he got on a plane, disguised it as wanting to go to the dentist, but literally flew to where I was to tell me goodbye because he knew that he was going to die soon. And he literally ended up dying 3 days later. That, to me, to your point, is the type of love that you deserve. Now, do I agree with him that he put himself through that? No.
Right.
And I made sure he was extra medicated once he got there.
Yeah. But
Sure
you know,
did.
love exists in that space. So it's so hard to settle for the did you make it home okay, love, or the oh, I didn't think you could handle hearing this love. It's like now you know love. So now you can recognize when it ain't love. And people can't tell you, no, this person loves you because they're this to you, because you know that that doesn't fit.
Mm-mm.
That's why I'm so thankful for having you today to talk about your story, because I think it's going to inspire so many people just to choose themselves. And that's okay.
It is. It is and I will say, I do want to say, sometimes it feels boring. It feels like you're like, all right, it can't always be this quiet. And you're kind of waiting for that shoe to drop, but sometimes the shoe not gonna drop. Sometimes it will actually stay on the shelf if you put it in the box.
Yep.
So that has been the part where I'm like, ooh, this is kind of difficult. But baby, let somebody try to bring chaos. Them little chaos demons, you got to go.
Yeah, I hear that. So I thank you so much for being here with me today.
I really appreciate it.